corner, wearing green trunks with black trim, con pantaloncillo verde con franja negra de Las Vegas, Nevada, en los Estados Unidos. Aquí está el retador número 9 en el mundo. Demos la bienvenida a King David Sample.
So there's the challenger then, David Sample, rated number 10 by the WBC, so just creeps into this title shot. On the previous rules, that is.
His opponent across the ring, the champion, fighting out of the blue corner. He is wearing black trunks with white trim, con pantaloncillo negro con franja blanca. Representando la capital de México, Mexico City, Distrito Federal. He is the defending WBC lightweight champion of the world. Demos la bienvenida al campeón mundial peso ligero del Consejo Mundial de Boxeo, presentando el invicto Miguel Gonzalez.
And who would believe that Jimmy Lennon Jr. could speak such good Mexican? There you are, and that's the champion, unbeaten now in 29 professional fights. 24 of those wins coming inside the limit. And in case you missed it, David Samples had 21, and he's lost just once, and that was a disputed decision to Kenny Bazemore. 2 fights to go on points. So the stage is set then. But once again I pose that question. When has a counter-puncher come to Mexico and beaten a Mexican world champion? Very unlikely. So, round 1, the challenger in the pale blue trunks. And we saw him on Eurosport, outboxing Nigel Wenton in Belfast in his last fight in June. It was a warm-up for this, and he won pretty handily against Wenton. Good southpaw jab, that's for sure. But Gonzalez loves to thud and blunder. Good little warrior. This is his 3rd defence of his WBC Lightweight Championship, which he won. He beat Wilfredo Roca last August. Stopped him in 10 rounds, having formerly held the WBC International Light Welterweight title. That, of course, is for fighters rated between 30 and 11. So he's dispensed with that junior version, of course. Now defending the big lads. One of David Sample's managers, oddly enough, is Gladys Steele. If you don't know who she is, the surname will be familiar. It's the wife of the referee Richard Steele. Right to the body from Gonzalez. There's nothing particularly artful about him, but very effective. Sample having the best of the moment so far in this opening round with a minute and a bit to go. Sample's going to have to fight like fury to impress these judges. And every time Gonzalez gets through with a meaningful punch, or even half a meaningful punch, this crowd will go delirious. Don't forget that question. There's 2 other Mexicans who hold versions of the World Championship. Who are they and what weight? So approaching the last 30 seconds of the opener. And a bit of a feeling out round this for Gonzalez, but no doubt that Sample looks like he's stolen it. And I think that's the operative word. Nice long left hand. Well, Gonzalez has hit the deck before. In fact, when he won this championship, the vacant title, he hit the deck against Roca, but had him down twice en route to that 10th round stoppage. So, the end of a reasonable first round there for the challenger, David Sample. As I've always said at home, make sure you score these contests yourselves. So, David Sample, a pro since December 1989. Gonzalez turned pro the same year, but 11 months earlier. And strange enough, he's actually fought 3 times in Tokyo, and I can't imagine why. A few names worth mentioning on the record of Gonzalez, which you'll be familiar with. Bobby Brewer knocked him out in 2 rounds back in 1990 in Albuquerque. His first defence of the championship was against Darrell Tyson, who he outpointed in Mexico. A non-title fight with Bruno Rabanales. He won that on points, and his last defence was against Hector Lopez. Also won on points against Lopez. So this is round 2 then. And I do believe that Hector Lopez was a former Olympic silver medalist. I'm just trying to get my brain around that one. And if it does come to me, of course, I'll confirm it for you. But, that's the feeling I get. In fact, Gonzalez boxed in the Seoul Olympics in 1988. Didn't get anywhere though, and he reckons it was bad judging decisions that cost him a place in the medals, and we saw a few of those, didn't we, in Seoul? Sample there has got what looks to be like a small lump appearing on the right cheek, quite high on the cheek, underneath the eye. And you can see every punch that Gonzalez throws is thrown with power, and they don't want to break this one up. Bit of intimidation there from Gonzalez. Gonzalez, I would suggest, is having a bit of trouble here finding the range at the moment. Sample very good on his feet. Well, Gonzalez, they got through with the couple, but they were only glancing shots. Sample was moving away at the time. And there's the bell to end. I suppose you could really call that one a fairly level round, I would suggest. But Sample on my card anyway, around in front after 2, not too much in the second. And that recent Boxing News poll of readers actually had Miguel Angel Gonzalez rated number 1. It wasn't particularly clear cut, but he got the vote by 36 points to 32 over Dingan Tabela, the South African. Freddie Pendleton came in with 29 points. And Giovanni Perez, the Italian, got only 3. Boxing News, of course, have got Gonzalez rated at number 1. So one of the answers to my previous question, the other Mexican world champions at the moment. Well, we've got the strawweight, of course, Ricardo Lopez. He's one of them. I'll give you the other one a little bit later. This is round 3 then of a scheduled 12. I'm not going to put on an Irish accent. And David Sample, as expected, making a pretty nippy start and trying to confuse Gonzalez. Gonzalez relying more on heavy artillery, trying to slow Sample down and gradually getting himself into this now. There's something like the old Roberto Duran about Gonzalez when he throws a punch. Really is thrown with menace. Punch. Really is thrown with menace. And the toughest test to date, with the exception, of course, of that close loss to Kenny Bazemore, was when Sample beat Fidel Avendano in California on points over 10 rounds. And to quote Brennan Ingle, stood Avendano on his head. And that was expected to be a very, very close decision. But I do believe that David Sample won every round. So he is capable against a dangerous man, and Gonzalez certainly is that. Only 5 men so far have gone the distance with him. Gonzalez still having a few problems trying to fathom out this southpaw stance and snake-like jab of Sample. Big bolo left, looping left hand from Sample there that missed, but a nice right uppercut on the inside. Sample looking quite adventurous, putting a bit more variety into his work. And really, you couldn't credit Gonzalez with landing more than a handful of meaningful punches so far in this third round. Still, Sample flicks out that jab. It's another round, as far as I'm concerned, for David Sample. So 3 gone, and on my card is 2 rounds in front with 1 even, and that was the second. Well, we've got a lot more to come. 9 more rounds in this one. Stay with us after this break. Welcome back to a bit of replay here from round 3. And for my money so far, the champion, Gonzalez, defending his WBC title, is a couple of points behind. And I did mention earlier that the second defence for Gonzalez was against Hector Lopez. Yes, he was Olympic silver medalist in Los Angeles in '84. In fact, rather similar to this one, Gonzalez overcame a very bad start to win a unanimous decision. But that said, it was also in Mexico. So he needs to overcome a smooth start so far from David Sample to really stamp his authority on this match. Although Sample's not the kind of man you can hit too often. Not with more than 1 punch at a time, anyway. And naturally, of course, Gonzalez would much prefer Sample to stand in front of him and have a war. And that's the last thing that Sample is inclined to do. Very cool customer, David Sample. We saw that against Wenton. Just sort of glided around the ring. Big left hand from Sample, followed by a small right hook. I would suggest also that Gonzalez is moving the wrong way. Some of the time against Sample, he should be moving, of course, around to his own left. And now there's a bit of shoulder coming in from Sample and a bit of bad-temperedness. Close round so far, just over a minute to go. Nice left. And Sample doesn't plant his feet quite long enough to get a heavy punch home. ready to move off as soon as he strikes. Rarely punches with more than 2 at a time. Yes, David Sample, a genuine counter-puncher, and not a bad one at that. And they can be murdered to fight. Just make you move and suddenly they hit you and they're gone. So really Gonzalez has got to start trying to walk through Sample. And the Philadelphian looking exceptionally cool. Gonzalez's family moved to Mexico City when he was a youngster, and that's where he grew up. It's another round for me for David Sample. I know it was close, as they're probably all inclined to be. But if you've got to find a winner at all in these rounds, so far it's been David Sample. But that's only a 3-point gap so far then, in favour of the challenger for this WBC Lightweight Championship. Of course, Britain's had the odd lightweight champion of the world. In recent times, of course, Ken Buchanan, who, for my money, Britain's finest world champion. And Jim Watt, another Scotsman, followed in his footsteps. Well, now this is a much better start from Gonzalez. He needs to get Sample involved in a war. Sample quite prepared to stand and trade. But the first thing on Sample's mind, of course, is defence. And this will impress the judges. This work from Gonzalez. This is what you call a good mix of styles, completely opposite to each other. But Gonzalez is now throwing a better volume of punch. Like this. This is quite clearly the best round so far that Miguel Gonzalez has had. That fancy footwork of Sample has deserted him in round 5. Well, he might just be trying to out-macho Gonzalez here, and that could be a big mistake. He should glide away and pop out that jab as he comes. He's playing straight into Gonzalez's hands here. This is good stuff now by Gonzalez, the champion. Conversely, of course, Sample might just be taking the fight to Gonzalez and taking those punches just to prove to Gonzalez that he can, and thereby get some kind of psychological edge. But he got rocked then by a right uppercut. It's a good round so far for Gonzalez. Real tear away, isn't he? This is just the kind of round the champion needed. Again, thudding punches getting home. And Sample looking a bit disorganized now. Succumbing to the mightier strength of the champion. Well, that's a great round for Gonzalez, but Sample there as if to say, well, I can take what you can give. And I dare say some judges might actually mark that a 2-point round for the champ. But he did dominate. But I'm just going to make it by the 1. That's closed the gap now to 2 points, but Gonzalez is still behind. Anyway, another answer to one of those questions I asked earlier. Another Mexican who holds a world title. Julio Cesar Borboa is the super flyweight champion, and there's one more I'll give you later. But there's 5 Mexican world champions at the moment. One more to get. This is the 6th of a scheduled 12. Miguel Angel Gonzalez defending his WBC lightweight championship for the 3rd time. And this is David Sample's first title fight. He says he's always fought in the other man's backyard in the pre-fight interview, but in fact he's actually fought 5 times in California, so that's hardly the other man's backyard. That's where he's from. Originally, of course, from Philadelphia. David Sample, when the going gets tough, you can rely on the old legendary Eddie Futch in the corner. And now Gonzalez trying to press home the advantage he got in the 5th. Still putting the pressure on here in round 6. Sample still under pressure now. And what can you do about it? That's the problem. Normally you would associate a counter-puncher with a man who could handle a Russian opponent. And that's now better from Sample, getting back into the rhythm. And I would imagine that Sample is probably near the top of the Who Wants Him list in many lightweights. A counter-puncher and a southpaw to boot, and a good one. But he might just have to be a little bit special here to deal with Gonzalez. Long, nice right jab from David Sample. Over 30 to go in the 6th. So the champion unbeaten in 29 fights. The challenger, he's won 20 and lost 1. And there's not a great deal, is there, in round 6. Gonzalez pressed forward, but Sample still managed to score with that jab on the retreat.
Aber immer öfter. Weil es alkoholfrei ist? Nein.
The replay then from round 6. Nice body shot from Gonzalez. And it's worth it giving you a little bit of background information about David Sample. He learned a lot of his trade sparring with great fighters. In fact, he sparred with Azuma Nelson when Nelson was facing up to Pernell Whitaker. Sparred with Jorge Paez when he faced Hector Camacho. And also Greg Haugen when he fought Camacho. And Haugen, in fact, attributed that win over Camacho to the sparring with David Sample. But there was another accreditation to the win Haugen got over Haugen got over Camacho. And that's afterwards he tested positive for marijuana. And the decision, of course, was reversed. 22 wins, 7 losses as an amateur for Sample. In this one, as we are now at the halfway point, round 7 of a scheduled 12. I've still got Gonzalez a couple of points adrift. looking ever more likely to close the gap. And that other Mexican world champion, of course, is the featherweight, Goyo Vargas, who, of course, beat Britain's Paul Hodkinson. So in Chavez and Vargas, the Mexicans have got possibly two of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world today. And of course, Ricardo Lopez, the strawweight, well, he looks a bit untouchable at the moment. Super flyweight, Borbo, well, not to be tested yet. A little slip there from Gonzalez. Now working on the sample body, try and make those legs weaken. Sample still fighting back. One of the interesting things, or well, to say comparisons between Gonzalez and Chavez, really it was a difference rather than comparisons. The fact that Chavez really does get his feet in beautifully. Once the feet are there, the fists start flying. And Gonzalez is not showing that here against Sample, although it's not easy, I must admit. But this could be a forerunner to the forthcoming Julio Cesar Chavez Perno Whittaker World Championship. With Gonzalez being likened to Chavez and Sample being likened to Whittaker, the outcome of this one might just have a significant bearing on how that one will go. My own personal feeling is that Chavez will win. Europe saying, right, that's it, tomorrow we're going to go and put a tenner on Whittaker. And that's a good round for Gonzalez. That's closed the gap a bit. Just to 1 point. So Gonzalez now just a round behind on my card, and we've got 5 more to go. The champion, Miguel Gonzalez, looking for win number 30, and of course to retain this championship. So the WBC number 10, David Sample in the light blue trunks, protecting a single point lead as far as I'm concerned going into this 8th round. And things are getting tough for him now. I, in fact, gave Gonzalez 2 of the last 3 rounds we've had. And I gave Sample 3 of the first 4. And I did say at the beginning of the program that it would be virtually impossible for a counterpuncher to come to Mexico and beat a Mexican world champion. Sample's going to have to use every inch of guile he has. And Gonzalez, for his part, well, all he needs to do is just keep this pressure on. Because when he's going forward, especially with a crouch behind it or a bob and a weave, he's actually confusing Sample somewhat. And Sample not quite sure where the next punch is coming from. Low body shot. And now, unusually, Gonzalez driving Sample back with 3 or 4 straight lefts. Seen Gonzalez so far using that jab to great effect in this fight, but he is now, and he's left it till round 8. Mr. Macho Powerhouse Bright has switched to a boxer, and he's not doing too badly. Of course, he can still rely on his powerful punches, but picking up the points with that left hand as well. Good to see. And in some quarters, Gonzalez is actually considered a master boxer. I wouldn't go that far. More like a roughhouse slugger. But he can box a bit. Looks like Gonzalez now is going to level this one up. A good round for him. And once again, Sample getting thumped and not replying. Good right hand from Gonzalez. And again. And you can just see Whittaker and Chavez, can't you? And I don't care what you say, Ken. And that's a round for Gonzalez. I'll have a pound with my mate Ken. 77 points apiece now. 8 gone. Of course, it's fair to say that Whittaker is by far a superior boxer than Sample, but I don't know, he can only run for so long. And Melvick Taylor did. He was ahead by the time he was stopped with 6 seconds to go or something. And he fought Chavez. And I hate to keep harping on about another fight when you're actually watching this one, but I think you see what I mean. Malcolm Nobbs, who I think is on holiday at the moment, probably watching this at the moment, somewhere on the in Greece or Spain or wherever. I think he fancies Whittaker as well. Oh, it's in round 9. 4 to go in this WBC lightweight title fight. The champion in the black and white trunks, Miguel Gonzalez of Mexico, making the 3rd defense of the title. I'm glad to say he's actually been defending pretty regularly. He only won it last August, and this already is 3rd defense. Sample, of course, coming into this one with absolutely nothing to lose. Rated number 10 by the WBC. Can't get any worse, can he? Flash of heads there, that was accidental. Gonzalez there complaining to the referee. He's actually handled this one very well. He's not been too obvious to the referee, but he's been there when he's been needed. And I dare say Gladys Steele we'll be hoping that our old man was in here refereeing this one. Of course, the referee doesn't score. This is 3 ringside judges. And it's the 10-point must system. The winner getting 10, and the loser of the round normally getting 9. In the case of a knockdown as well, which the WBC in fact instituted. It's a 2-point round. Inside the final minute then of round 9. Watching this one, but possibly Sample's got the edge here. And a dire section in the middle part of this fight, but now using a bit more of his reserves of his last few rounds. Double jab left hand from Sample. Nice left hand there for David Sample. The left cross just jerked Gonzalez's head back. Less than 20 seconds to go, and this is a round for the challenger. This is definitely a round for David Sample to put in one up again with 3 to go on. 3 to go. This is a bit of replay here from the 9th round. Long left cross from David Sample, thumped against Gonzalez's face. You've got 3 rounds to go, and as far as I'm concerned, don't forget, it's only my opinion, David Sample, the challenger, is a point in front at 87 to 86. So, we've got Gonzalez leading. 2 of the last 3 for victory here. But I'm a completely discompassionate observer. Sample looks like he's got a bit of energy left in the tank. Snappy starts around 10 from him. Of course, they may well have given, the judges may well have given Gonzalez that 5th round by a 2-point margin. He was so dominant. And Sample came back, and I thought he shared the 6th. And this is better now from Gonzalez, two-handed. He needs to keep pounding away. He must realise this one is close. He's fighting as if he does. Well, that initial burst from David Sample at the start of this round has fizzled out now. Gonzalez looking to reassert himself. Gonzalez using his superior power to try and overwhelm the smart boxing challenger. And I wonder if we're going to see a unification match. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Freddie Pendleton against Gonzalez. He, of course, is the IBF champion. Nice and bright there from Gonzalez. And I tell you something. Giovanni Perez, I think, is smart enough. Hang on, we've got a good exchange here. Sample has got Gonzalez pinned in the corner, but Gonzalez still working away furiously with both hands to the body. Shades of Azuma Nelson and Jeff Fennick there in that corner. Well, for my money, that's a round for the champion. Just not much in that one at all. 96 points each. 2 rounds to go. Yes, Giovanni Perez, as I say, he's similar in style to David Sample, in as much as he doesn't get involved, likes to stay away and pick his punches. And he might just be the kind of man to beat Gonzalez. Damage there around the right eye of David Sample. And the plaster on Gonzalez's left glove. They just come loose. The sweat. Gonzalez managed by Francisco and Carlos Rosales. So, the arena Coliseo in Guadalajara, Mexico. The scene for a very close WBC lightweight championship fight between the Mexican holder in the black and white, Miguel Angel Gonzalez, and his smooth and tricky challenger, David Sample. And I got it all square after 10 rounds. So victory then. Oops, and a stumble there. A slip, in fact, on the water by Gonzalez. And that really has fired him up now. But embarrassed by that, really trying to thump Sample, take it out on him. Gonzalez is actually getting away with a few things on the inside there. Punching on the order to break. And this crowd cheering Gonzalez home as Sample floundered there. Lost his footing. It's a sign of fatigue, of course. And now this is good stuff from Gonzalez. Thumping body punches from Gonzalez. And I can almost see Chavez and Whittaker. Granted, those Sample's not as good as Whittaker, and Gonzalez not as good as Chavez, but Sample there coming back with a couple of hard punches. But Gonzalez again starts ripping them home. Oh, good shot. Sample's taken these punches well. He does put a lot of meat into them, Gonzalez. Like that. Something against the side of Sample's jaw. And Sample looks almost out of gas. A bit of bravado now from Sample, gets with a good left hand. But I don't think there's time enough for Sample to claw back in this 11th round. And there's only 3 minutes to go after this, and Gonzalez moves ahead in this fight for the first time on my card. He's got that 11th round, and there's one more to go, so a good round by David Sample could make this one exceptionally close. Close enough to be a draw on my card. 106 now to 105 in favour of the champion. And as you saw, David Sample did have his moments in this round anyway. Twelfth and final round then of this WBC Lightweight Championship. And the champion Gonzalez a point in front now on my card with just 3 minutes to go to decide the outcome of this fight. Will Gonzalez retain his championship for the third time, or will we see a new champion in the shape of David Sample? And once again, the tape has come loose on Gonzalez's left glove. Referee taking time out to get that one fixed. I'll say they're perfectly adequate with the lace and that lace protector. I honestly don't know why they have to take them up so many times out to get those tapes retaped or cut off. Very annoying in some contests. Oh, we've had 30 seconds or so of this final round. I think Sample's acquitted himself very well. Nice long left hand, just shakes Gonzalez for a second. Gonzalez holds for the first time in the fight. And he's feeling the pace now. Sample has never boxed beyond 10 rounds before. I think he's only done it 3 times as well. So far, Gonzalez, who takes a good left hand. He's done 12 rounds on 2 occasions. It's a good final round so far for Sample. And again, the left catching Gonzalez. And he's not that far in front that he can afford to take it easy in this final 3 minutes. Just over a minute to go now. And this session could be crucial. Really had a complete change around in this final round, with Sample taking the initiative and being the aggressor, and Gonzalez almost switching to a counter-puncher, although he's not doing an awful lot of work. Well, I can feel a draw coming on here as far as the point tally is concerned. To say, Gonzalez around in front on my card coming into this final round, and now gets through with a couple of thumping rights. Few seconds to go then. And they're going to both proclaim victory, I'm sure. And a free shot there from Gonzalez at the end. He raises his arms, but I tell you something, he might be very lucky to, well, he won't in Mexico, of course, but a neutral venue, who knows? I've got, let's have a look, 115 to 115. 5 rounds to both boxers and 2 rounds even. Rounds 2 and 6 I felt were pretty level. So 5 rounds each and 2 even on my card. 115 to 115. We have to wait and see what the judges think of this. And that's about all Gonzalez did in the last round. Well, it's a unanimous decision.
Vera tiene la pelea 116-112, 116-112.
Oh, that's a big margin.
Perez tiene la pelea
8-4.
116-111, 116-111.
Oh, that's even bigger. 9 rounds to 4, so 1 round by 2 points.
120 to 110.
Oh, goodness me. Well, Gonzalez gets it, and that last score was a ludicrous 10 rounds to Gonzalez with 2 even. Well, I thought a draw would have been about right then. I hope you've enjoyed it. See you tomorrow for kickboxing.